Last time you saw us, we were in Waco, Texas, checking out the silos, their beautiful city park, the Waco Bridge, and much more. This week, we're heading south to Houston to continue our 7,000-mile trip. I'm looking forward to seeing green. As we leave Waco, the landscape clearly goes through a transformation, giving us the hint that we'll be hitting warmer weather. We stopped for the night at a Cracker Barrel. Not all Cracker Barrels allow overnight stays, so we called ahead. We had lunch with our niece and her family who live in the area and made plans to head out early to avoid as much traffic as possible. Spending 3 weeks in the Dallas area was enough traffic for a lifetime, so we weren't looking forward to driving a toy hauler through America's fourth largest city. A lot of our conversations of late revolve around naming drivers idiots and maniacs. If you're not familiar, idiots are the drivers that make mistakes that affect other drivers, like pulling out into traffic thinking there's a free lane to pull into when there isn't and blocking traffic. Maniacs are the drivers that rapidly change lanes and zip in and out of traffic only to shave off a minute of their commute. We're never maniacs, but we are occasionally idiots. Houston is impressive, but we're not staying long. We're only here to see the Houston Space Center. We bought our timed entry ticket online and was prepared to pay $10 for parking. The lot could accommodate our rigs, so we were all set. We've been to the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. This is one of the most popular museums in the world. A few years later, we were privileged to visit the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Both of these were crazy good, so we were eager to see how the Houston Space Center compared. I often read reviews before going to someplace new. One of those reviews said, and I quote, "The exhibits often felt like a recruiting or fundraising event for the Mars mission." Another commented by saying, "Everything is mock-up, not much authentic." I was hoping not to be disappointed. We took a tram tour that didn't require a reservation or additional cost. This took us to the George Abbey Rocket Park. Among other rockets are one of the 3 remaining Saturn V rockets and a tribute to the Apollo missions.
Two days into a 3-day journey to the lunar surface, disaster struck.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. Houston, we've had a problem.
A malfunction in an oxygen tank caused the service module to rupture, losing 2 of the 3 fuel cells and venting oxygen into space. Without electricity, the astronauts were cold and quickly running out of water and breathable air. The work of countless individuals in mission control and all through Johnson Space Center kept that problem from becoming a disaster. Rising carbon dioxide levels could have proven fatal to the 3 astronauts. A team of engineers at Mission Control designed a new CO2 scrubber from spare parts inside the spacecraft, literally fitting a square peg into a round hole. Everyone at Mission Control worked around the clock, constantly innovating, never giving up, and kept the astronauts alive. Through all the challenges and difficulties, they succeeded. The entire world held its breath until Lovell, Swaggart, and Hayes splashed down in the Pacific Ocean on April 17, 1970. Through ingenuity, intelligence, and unparalleled teamwork, NASA turned tragedy into triumph.
One of the coolest parts of our visit was going inside a replica of a shuttle mounted on top of the original NASA 905 shuttle carrier aircraft. The NASA 905 carried space shuttles 223 times.
To go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Due to the hub's interest in aerospace, he wanted to spend a little more time in the Artemis exhibit. Many people think the days of exploring the moon are over. We've only landed on the moon 6 times and just barely scratched the surface.
Our next door neighbor, Mars. The name Artemis was chosen due to its relationship to the Apollo mission that took place between 1967 and 1972. Has anyone heard of that famous phrase, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind? Yeah? That famous phrase was said by Neil Armstrong in Apollo 11 when he became the first man to ever step foot onto the moon.
There are those who don't see the need to spend the money on such a program. I understand this when there's so much need. Having said this, we have a new level of technological capability as a result of our efforts. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of a trip to Mars. In the Artemis project, this is the end goal. So back to those reviews. Were they correct? I'd have to say yes. If I had to compare, the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. and the Kennedy Space Center were better. But was I disappointed? No. The displays were beautiful and informative. We should feel inspired about studying the heavens. It puts things into perspective. Join us next week as we head south and go to Galveston, Texas.
Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing? case they get a hole in one.